Hey everyone, so today we're gonna go over the spotlight decks for Jump to Lightspeed, which include the Han Solo spotlight deck and also the Boba Fett spotlight deck. So let's open up these packages and then let's go over all the cards that it comes with and kind of just see how the decks could work with each other and how the synergies work out as well. I also got the card sleeves for each of these, the Han Solo ones and the Boba Fett ones. So we're gonna sleeve them up also and see how they fit. Let's go ahead and open them up, and just to show what the box has, you got free booster pack. Well, not free, but booster pack is included in these spotlight decks. You got some of the contents right there. So if you don't have tokens, you get tokens. And it's a good way to start off, I guess, because these decks are made to be more of a competitive deck instead of like the starter decks that we got from set 1, 2, and 3. These actually have cards mixed in from other sets, which makes it interesting. So that's it. That's all the contents. Nothing in there. So essentially you get the deck, you get booster pack, and you get tokens. Regular cardboard tokens. So let's open up, we can save the booster packs for later. Let's open up the deck itself. So you get a 50 card deck ready to play out of the box, and you'll get your 2 leaders. You'll get Han Solo, and then, well, your leader in your base. That's what I meant. You get your leader in your base, and then you also get 3 double-sided tokens, which are experience tokens and the shield tokens, which is a nice little thing to have. Also, if you're traveling somewhere, you can just take this deck and take these tokens and these little things, and it's easy to carry around. You know, if you're going on a trip and you want to take a deck with you, it's good to kind of have those little things that are light, right? So in this deck, we're going to get a mix of different cards from different eras. We'll start off with it seems like we're going to start off low with the 1-cost cards. You get clone deserters, you get 2 of those. And before we actually do that, let's look over Han's ability. Han is first of all, a special rarity card. You won't be able to get these in booster packs. You could only get them through the spotlight decks, or you could also get them through the pre-release decks, and those are actually the hyperspace versions of these cards. And just to show you what the hyperspace version of Han Solo looks like, you got it right there. And you can get these in the pre-release boxes. And if you can't get them in a pre-release box, you could probably get them off of other sites. But I personally like the hyperspace versions of all the cards just because I like the full art. It looks so much nicer. So we get our leader, and this leader has the action: reveal the top card of your deck, then attack with a unit. If the revealed card and that unit have different odd costs, that unit gets +1 for this attack. So with this leader, we want to have odd cost cards. Most likely this deck's going to have a lot of odd cost cards to get that effect. If you control 5 or more resources, you could choose one or the other, either deploy this leader or deploy the leader as an upgrade. So you flip them over on 5. If you deploy him as a leader unit, it's a 3/7, 3 attack, 7 defense. Or if it's a pilot, you get, when deployed as an upgrade, for each friendly unit or upgrade that has an odd cost, ready a resource. So nice way to get those resources up so you can put more stuff on the ground. So most likely we're going to have a lot of upgrades in this deck that are odd as well to have that synergy. So we start off with our low cost units, which is a clone deserter. It has restore 1. That's from Shadows of the Galaxy. You get your Greedo. Greedo's a nice card to have. It's a 1 cost as well. Got 2 of those, 2 Greedos. Then we have Neon Numb. It's our first pilot. He's an odd cost as well. You only get 1 of those, and he's a rare card. We'll get back to the rare cards later. I've noticed something. Then we have R2D2, which is another pilot, odd cost pilot. Get 2 of those. We have Dagger Squadron pilot, another pilot here that's 1 cost. So you see all the synergies here that could be effective with Han Solo, because you have a lot of pilots that are odd costs, which means that, you know, whenever you deploy him as a leader, you'll get that you'll be able to ready a resource for each friendly unit or upgrade that has an odd cost. So a lot of odd cost units. Here's another 1 cost, the Cartel Turncoat. This is from Shadows of the Galaxy. You get 3 of those. Good space unit to bring out. It's 1 cost, 2, 3. If it's defeated, your opponent gets to draw a card, but it's fine. Wolfpack Escort. When played, you may return a non-leader, friendly non-leader, non-vehicle units to its owner's hand. So yeah, these are all the 1-drops. So for 1-drops, or for the first round, you have 1, 2, 3, 15, 16, 17 cards ready to be used on the first turn. So that's a pretty high number, and you do have a lot of options to either put them on the ground, space as an upgrade. Then we have Admiral Akbar from Spark of Rebellion, another rare unit. Then we have another rare unit, Hu Yang from Twilight of the Republic, odd cost unit. Then we have Leia, Ezra from Spark of Rebellion, another odd cost unit. Get 2 Ezras. Boshek, he could be a pilot as well. Get 2 of those. Then you get Blue Leader, Shuttle Tidarium. So Shuttle Tidarium is a card that you get in this set as just the normal card. You see the special rarity right down there. You can get these also in booster packs as foils, hyper foils, or hyperspace cards. But if you want just the normal one, you would have to get these spotlight decks. You get 3 of those. Then we have the Death Star Skirmisher, another 3 cost unit. Then we have another unit unique to the spotlight deck with a special rarity, the Millennium Falcon, another 3 cost unit. Like I said, you could also get these in booster packs as the foils, hyperspaces. Then we have another rarity, Chewbacca. Now those were, just a kind of pause here, those are all 3 cost units. So you jump from a stack of 1s to a stack of 3s. So you can see all odd costs. That's going to work well with Han. Then we get Chewbacca, his body Chewbacca. It's a 5 cost unit, special rarity. Now this card is a very special card because it says this unit cannot be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. Same with the pilot. This unit can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. Yeah, so when you attach this as a upgrade, the unit gets that, but you still can remove Chewie as an upgrade. But if you put him as a unit, he can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. You get 3 of these of that special rarity. Then we have Clone Commander Cody, which is nice because your friendly units get +1/+1 and Overwhelm if you have the coordinate. You might be able to get the coordinate just because you have a nice big stack of 1-drops and a lot of 3-drops as well. You get 1 Commander Cody, and you get 1 Mandalorian. He's also a pilot. When played as an upgrade, exhausts an enemy unit in this arena. So he's a strong ground unit, but when you put him as a pilot, he gets that ability as well. And he only costs 2 as a pilot. If you want him as a unit, he'll cost you 5. Then we have a few events here. Tandem Assault. Then we have Shoot First, which is a classic for Han Solo from Spark of Rebellion. Those are all 1 cost events. Then we have Waylay. Then we have another special rarity, Never Tell Me the Odds. This one says discard 3 cards from an opponent's deck and 3 cards from your deck. Deal damage to a unit equal to the number of cards with an odd cost discarded this way. So you're going to be guaranteeing damage on your side just because all your cards are odd. Now your opponent's deck, you might get 1 or 2, maybe 3, but this is also a special rarity card you'll get in the spotlight deck that costs 3. And then you have 1 other rare. It's a trap. If an opponent controls more space units than you, ready each space unit you control. and that is a rare. Then we have Commandeer, which allows you to steal an opponent's vehicle for that phase. So yeah, that's the components of Han's deck. Interesting deck. I do want to play it. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it has some interesting abilities here. One thing I noticed that I wanted to mention is that these rare cards are not necessarily the real rare cards, though I guess you can say. And then what I mean by that is because the other rare cards that you get in packs have the holographic signature holographic little X-wing symbol on the bottom, and with these you don't get the holographic symbol. And just let me show you an example of what I mean. We have here Frontline Shuttle. It's a rare card, but it has that classic or signature hologram right there on the bottom. And the new ones, they don't have them. Well, not the new ones, but the ones that come in the Spotlight deck do not have that holographic sticker or application. I'm not sure what that is. Here's another example just to reinforce what I'm saying, right? You have General Krell, and these are rare cards. So you have that. So none of these cards have that, and I noticed that with the Spotlight decks. Does that matter, for example, if you decide to take apart these decks and use these rares in other decks that you have? Is that tournament legal if you don't have the hologram there? I'm not sure, but just something I wanted to point out that I did notice when I was putting some of these cards in my other decks, that the rares don't have that hologram in the bottom. All right, so those are the contents of the Han Solo deck. Now let's go and open up the Boba Fett Spotlight deck. All right, so we have the Boba Fett Spotlight deck. Similar things here. There's a text in the back. You get similar items except for the deck is different. All right, that's it. Your tokens, a booster pack, and then we have our deck here. So let's open up our deck. All right, so just like the other deck, we get our Boba Fett leader. And here's the hyperspace version of it, which looks pretty cool. Here's the flip side. Alright, so in this deck you are defending Jabba's Palace, which is thematic. You also get the 3 tokens. You get your experience tokens, shield tokens, the double-sided cards here. And in this deck, before we go through our deck, let's just read the ability of Boba Fett. It says when you deal non-combat damage, so that could be indirect damage or damage given by other cards, just say give 2 damage to a unit or a base. It says you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. So you're giving damage left and right with Boba Fett. And then when you flip them, which means we should see a lot of cards here that deal a lot of indirect damage, because you definitely want to take advantage of that. On the flip side, you flip them on 6. It's a 4/7 ground unit, but you could also put them as a pilot. When deployed as an upgrade, deal up to 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of units. So yeah, I mean, once you come out, you're going to be giving 4 damage, and your pilot, when you're a pilot, you're given a +4/+4 to a vehicle, which is pretty substantial in my opinion. So let's see, what are some of the cards here that give indirect damage? Well, we got the First Order Stormtrooper. On attack when defeated, give 1 indirect damage to a player, so you're already doing that. Then you can exhaust Boba Fett and give more indirect damage. The General Pride. When indirect damage is dealt to a unit, you may defeat a non-unique upgrade on it. On attack, if you have the initiative, deal 2 indirect damage to a player, so a lot more indirect damage, which is pretty nice. You get 1 of those, and that's a rare card with no hologram. First Legion Snowtrooper. You get a buff when you're attacking a damaged unit and overwhelmed. This is from Spark of Rebellion. You get 3 of those. You get the Zygerian Starhopper. Deal 2 damage to a player when defeated. So indirect damage. So there you can give more damage the TIE bombers deal 3 indirect damage to the defending player. It's a 0-4, but essentially you're dealing 3 indirect damage, or you're dealing 3 damage to something. It could be base and 2 other units. So nice unit to have out there to give out damage. You get 3 of those. You get the 5th brother. Interesting, from Spark of Rebellion. On attack, you may deal 1 damage to this unit and 1 damage to another ground unit. So again, once you deal damage, you could exhaust Boba Fett and then keep dealing more damage. You get 2 5th brothers. Elite P Starfighter from Twilight of the Republic. When played, when defeated, deal 1 damage to a unit. So you're definitely going to give a lot of damage to a player. This might be a quick deck just to kind of finish things off. So it might be interesting how this works. The Houndstooth is basically you attack first. It's like a little shoot first from Spark of Rebellion. But while attacking an exhausted unit that didn't enter play this phase, this unit deals combat damage before the defender. So you get to defeat something without hitting you back. This is a special rarity card, the Houndstooth. You get 3 of these. And like I said, you can get them in other packs as well as a foil hyperspace. You get Bosk, another special rarity in this deck. As a ground unit, it's a 4-4, but as a pilot, it only costs you 2. Exhaust the defender and deal 1 damage to it if it's a unit. So again, another way to exhaust Boba, give more damage. Here we go, Dengar, 2 Dengars, so you get 3 Boss, just to let you know. And then Dengar, 2 Dengars, on attack, deal indirect damage. Yeah, so it's definitely a nice, like almost every card has indirect damage or deal damage too. And remember, it's non-combat damage, so 1 indirect damage. So yeah, non-combat damage. So you're not doing combat, you're just giving damage, dealing damage, indirect damage. Fett's Fire Spray, special rarity card here. Same thing, deal 1 indirect damage. If you control Boba Fett, deal 2. And then if you put Boba Fett on his own ship as a pilot, you get 3 of those. If you put Boba Fett as a pilot, then it becomes a ship, a vehicle that's 8/8. Yeah, so that's a strong ship. And then we have IG 2000 again, and dealing damage. Hunting Aggressor, indirect damage you dealt to opponent is increased by 1. Deal 3 damage to a space unit. That's the Imperial Interceptor from Spark. You got 1 copy of IG-88, and that's a rare card there. That just gets more stronger as more damage is dealt. 1 Boba Fett, that's a rare Boba Fett unit there. It's a 5/4 shielded unit on the ground. When you play it as an upgrade, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. If attached unit is a transport, you may deal 2 damage instead. Yeah, and then obviously behind it we have Fett's Fire Spray from Spark, which is a key card to have in this deck because it comes in ready. Then you have your upgrades. Electromagnetic Pulse, deal 2 damage to a droid or a vehicle and exhaust it. Daring Raid, 3 copies of that, which is a staple, deal 2 damage to a unit or base. Cheap, 1 cost. Grenade Strike, deal 2 damage to a unit. You may deal 1 damage to another unit. Yeah, so this is all dealing damage. Quick deck. Exhaust a unit for 2 rounds. Force Choke. If you control a force unit, this event costs 1 less. But then you get to deal 5 damage to a non-vehicle unit. That unit controller draws a card. So even if you don't control a force unit, a 2 cost card to give 5 damage to a unit is not bad. And then you have No Disintegrations, which is a special rarity card in this set. Deal damage to a non-leader unit equal to 1 less than its remaining HP. So yeah, this deck is must be really fun to play this deck just because of all that damage that's being dealt quickly. I'm actually looking forward to playing this Boba Fett deck. So yeah, those are the contents of that. Let's sleeve them up and see how they look in the sleeves, and then we'll open up those packs. Everything's sleeved up, looking nice. When you got new sleeves. They're very slick, very slippery, looking good. I like the white background. These are the sleeves, the clear sleeves that come with them as well. The bases, actually, if you look in the back, the bases of the Han Solo and Boba Fett decks have the list. So if you want to take them apart, you can put them back together, because here you go. You got the deck list right here for both of them, which is nice touch on this. Looks nice. These Boba Fett sleeves here. Now I wanted to mention also that each sleeve pack comes with extra sleeves. For example, the Han Solo sleeves came with an extra 12 sleeves, and then the Boba Fett decks, or Boba Fett sleeves, came with 13 extra sleeves. So if you want to add more cards to these decks, you know, if one tears, one rips, you have extras to replace them, which is nice. And I thank GameGenic for providing that. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention before we open up these booster packs is, I don't know if it's an annoyance, but something that I appreciated from the starter boxes, the starter decks from sets 1 to 3, was that they came with a deck box to store away these pre-built decks. Because me personally, I like to keep these decks built the way they are. I don't like to touch them, because these are kind of a way to teach people the game, and the starter decks were a great tool to teach people the game. And then you have these two decks here that, you know, are pre-built decks that I want to keep just without taking them apart. That's why I buy 2 of these. One to keep like this, and one to be able to use in other decks. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you what I mean. So the deck boxes that came with the starter sets were these here. And you would get, for each starter set, for example, with Spark of Rebellion, you get your boxes for each leader. You got your Luke, right? Your Luke deck box. Then you have your leader, same thing, your base. And I use the pre-release promos. But then this, you know, it's all, you get your experience tokens, just like the Spotlight deck. You get your sleeves there for this deck, particularly the Luke deck, right? But this was the thing. This was awesome to be able to get this deck box. It was nice to have that accessory. And I'm wondering, you know, and I can imagine why they decided not to include a deck box starting with Jump to Lightspeed's Spotlight decks, was most likely to make you purchase a separate deck box to keep these decks right together. Don't like that at all. I actually appreciate the fact that the starter decks came with their own deck box. And as you can see, these deck boxes, they hold up pretty well. I've used set 1s more, and they still hold up pretty well. The advantage of these deck boxes is that you can sleeve them up. You can sleeve them up, and they fit perfectly in the deck boxes. And I love that. I love that touch. It was a great way to kind of store away these pre-built decks. You know, you wanted to see which leader you wanted to play, Ahsoka versus Darth Vader. Just get those 2 decks out and you're good to go. Now with these new decks, either you buy a deck pod or a deck box or whatever. That's an option. Or what I'm going to do, since I have quite a few, so I'm going to use these pre-release boxes from Jump to Lightspeed to store these decks. So unfortunately, they're not going to be as nice as these deck boxes that have the leader on them, but at least it's a way to store these new decks. And there it is. Maybe what I'll do is, you know, the leaders that I didn't use to to sleeve. I don't know, put them here maybe. Stick them there somehow. I don't know. Just looks tacky, honestly. Yeah, that's my biggest, like, kind of my second complaint about the Spotlight decks is that you don't get the rares, the official rares. You get kind of like proxy rares, and also you don't get the deck boxes, which is a nice touch. It was a nice touch to have. So those are the contents of the deck box. Those are what or the Spotlight decks and what I think about them. All right, so we're gonna open up 6, the 2 from the Spotlight deck and 4 more. So let's open up the ones from the Spotlight decks first. Let me clear up some space here because things are getting tight. All right, let's start off with the Spotlight deck ones. 2 Poe Damerons. Right. We have a Hyperspace Admiral Akbar. That's pretty nice. City in the Clouds. Independent Smuggler. We'll go through our comments here quickly. Oh, we got a Hyperspace Corporate Light Cruiser. That looks nice. Right. Special Forces ties our last common. Then we have Gold Leader. I Have You Now uncommon. Apology Accepted. And then, oh, nice. Nice. A Legendary Ghost. My first one. This will be good in my Spectre deck that I'm currently trying to work out. And then a foil Cloud car. Alright, 1 legendary in that pack. Let's open up the second deck from the Spotlight decks. We got Rose Tico, Shield Generator. Go through our commons here. Right, no Hyperspace there. Shuttle ST-49, our uncommon. Banshee, a rare Hyperspace. That looks cool. Rare Hyperspace. We have a rare IG 2000. Good card to get. Oh, nice. A common Hyperspace foil Determined Recruit. That looks cool. Nice. That was a good pack. All right, we got 1 good pack there. I think maybe, well, 2 good packs. We got a legendary in 1. All right, so let's open up the other 2 packs here, 4 packs. So we'll go with R2D2. Ooh, okay, we got Rio Durant, City in the Clouds, Swarming Vulture Droids. Our comments here. Oh, we got a Hyperspace common landing shuttle. I like that art. Red Squadron Y-Wing, Academy Graduate, Focus Fire. Okay, nice. So we have a Von Regs TIE Interceptor, our first uncommon. Astromech Pilot, Boshek. And then a rare base Thermal Oscillator. And then behind that, we have a foil Vulture Droid. Cool. Alright, next pack. Another Poe pack. Another Poe pack. Oh, nice. Major Von Regs Hyperspace card. Yeah, it looks nice. This is one of my favorite arts, actually, from all the leaders in this set. Looks nice. Dark Yards. Then we have our commons here. No Hyperspace in our commons. Poe Dameron. First uncommon. Hunting Aggressor. Razor Crest. And then we have Sidon Ethano is our rare. Sidon Ethano. Then behind that we have an uncommon, a Decimator of Dissidents, a foil. Cool. Next pack, Millennium Falcon pack. Yeah. Oh, nice. My first Admiral Piet, finally. Man, I've opened up a number of packs and I have not drawn him yet. My first one. Cool. Finally be able to get a Piet deck going. Alright. Our commons. Oh, nice. Hyperspace Tandem Assault. That looks cool. I like that art actually. Alright, more commons. Our first uncommon is the Chimera, Dornian Gunship, Captain Tarkin, and then we have a rare Neon Num. And then we have a common foil X-34 Landspeeder. Alright, last pack, R2-D2. R2-D2. Alright, let's get a showcase, be nice. But no, we got a Luke Skywalker with on chopper base. So we got Resistance X-Wing. No hyperspace in this pack. Then we have a retrofitted airspeeder. First uncommon, Gold Leader. I have you now. Let's get a legendary. Nope. We got a rare L337. L337. And then another rare. It's a rare foil of the, what is that? Pantoran Starship Thief. Cool. All right. Well, at least we got one legendary in this in these packs. The Ghost. It's a good legendary to have for your Spectres. Anyways, that was the video for today. I appreciate everyone watching. Hopefully you found some value in all this information that I was able to give. Thank you for spending the time to look over these spotlight decks, and thank you to everyone who subscribes and just watches these videos to the end. I thank you very much. Appreciate everyone. Until the next one.